Let's go live now to Sydney's CBD, where that pro-Palestine rally is continuing. These are some live aerials just showing you how many people are there. The flag being carried through the streets as they march from Town Hall to Belmore Park. Now, bear in mind, there's about 10,000 people here, and hopefully these aerials will be able to just show you. You can see that there is a huge stream of people. Look at that. Look at the overflow. And you can see as well, if you look carefully, there's a number of police scattered. They're wearing their high-vis vests. We've also seen them on bikes, on horseback. So they are surrounding this to make sure it does not get out of hand. But it looks like what we see now on our screen is the very start of that march, and the crowds coming in thick and heavy behind. Now, we do have our reporter, Julia Bradley, who is also there at the march today. Julia, we're going to stay on these pictures while we're talking to you. How busy is it? Describe to us what you can see and how the crowd is going.
Tanika, it's incredibly busy here in Sydney's CBD. As you can see, the members of the Palestinian community in Sydney marching to draw attention to their cause and the plight of Palestinians in the Middle East at the moment. They're marching down Elizabeth Street, and as you mentioned before, the final destination will be Belmore Park. So this is a walk from Town Hall. It'll take a couple of minutes in total, just under a kilometre worth of march. Now, this is a protest which is the biggest one we've seen since the violence in the Middle East escalated. This is the third protest represented by the pro-Palestinian group, and this demonstration is one that police are really hoping will be a peaceful one because there's such a large crowd. As you can see, an estimated 10,000 people in attendance. You can see the Palestinian flag being waved. Also, a lot of people holding up signs, calling for a ceasefire, calling for the violence in Gaza to stop. Now, a lot of people who've been addressing the crowd at Town Hall before this march got underway were really critical of the federal government's response following that initial attack which we saw carried out by Hamas. Now, people continue to march down the street. It is a really peaceful demonstration. It feels peaceful, and the speakers who were addressing the crowd before really reiterating their desire for it to be a peaceful protest. We saw another peaceful demonstration just last week. That was out at Hyde Park, a static demonstration, but this one is a whole lot different. It's a march. There's a lot of movement, and this is what had New South Wales Premier Chris Minns worried earlier in the week. When he addressed the planned protest, he suggested that he was worried there could be an escalation because of the sheer size of what the organisers wanted, and also because we have seen that escalation in conflict in the Middle East. We've seen the bombing of a hospital, a church overnight, so he was worried that this could get out of hand, but at the moment it is a peaceful one. 800 police officers here making sure that it goes smoothly as well.
And just talk us through that police presence, Julia, because what we can see from the shots, we're looking up at the aerial shots right now as we're speaking to you, we can see a number of police in their yellow vests dotted around, making sure that the crowd are keeping peaceful, as you said that they are. But talk us through just how significant that police presence is today.
There's a really significant police presence, Tanika. I've covered my fair share of protests, both here and in Victoria, and this is one of the biggest police presences that I've seen in New South Wales. So 800 police officers, and they got here really early as well. So they've been monitoring the situation for a number of hours already, even before the march got underway. And as you can see, a lot of police officers walking with the crowd as they move towards Belmore Park, just monitoring the situation and keeping an eye on everything. We've heard them the commissioners say just yesterday in a press conference that they did not want a repeat of the ugly scenes that we saw at Sydney's Opera House. That is when the Israeli flag was burned, there were flares set off, and people also making anti-Semitic remarks and chanting. So they don't want that to happen this time around, and they won't hesitate to arrest anyone who is doing the wrong thing. But peaceful scenes at the moment, Tanika.
Yeah, it certainly appears that way, and I guess, Julia, they didn't want to see a repeat of what we saw at the Opera House 2 weeks ago. And you know, it's worth telling our viewers as well, a lot of planning has gone into this. Bear in mind that protest groups, when they want to do a protest, they have to give police at least 7 days notice, and they did in this instance. So police were aware and they were able to prepare for it, and therefore have the personnel and manpower to control this crowd if required. But so far, so good. Julia, we know that you were there when the rally first began. You heard some of the speeches. What were they saying? What was the key message to the crowds today?
The key message from a lot of the speakers that addressed this crowd, members of the Palestinian Action Group, for example, was that they say this conflict has a long, long history. It's been decades in the making, and they want to try to get that message out that this isn't something that just happened when we saw Hamas, which is a listed terrorist organisation, carry out that brutal attack on attendees at that music festival. They really want to disrupt this idea that that is when the fighting began, and that now this is simply a retaliation by Israel from that initial attack. They want to continue to draw attention to the fact that they believe Palestinians have been suffering for many years. So they want to disrupt that idea as they speak about the lives that are being lost in the Middle East at the moment. Now, as we know, a huge amount of lives being lost on both sides, but the intention from this march today is to draw attention to the suffering of the Palestinian people.
Look, it's incredible scenes, Julia, that we're seeing, just the sheer number of people that have attended that rally. Julia, we'll let you go. Thank you for that update, and we will be continuing to cross to Julia throughout the afternoon. But look, these scenes here, these aerial images, they really speak for themselves just about how many people have attended this rally today, how passionate they are as they continue to march from Town Hall to Belmore Park. It's a significant police operation. As we've heard from Julia Bradley, there's about 800 police there today. They're on foot, they're on horseback, they're on bikes. They're there to control that situation. So far, so good, though. They would be happy with how it's gone so far, but we will continue to keep you up to date as that march continues to move through, but certainly peaceful compared to other scenes that we have seen in Sydney in the last 2 weeks. Also probably worth mentioning, it's not just here in the CBD that there are expected to be these march or these rallies today, but also other parts of Sydney in the outer areas as well. The smaller groups were also planning to hold smaller rallies, but also in other parts of the country as well. But the Sydney rally was expected to be the biggest, and so far, as we have seen from these aerial images, about 10,000 people have gathered. So a significant presence, a significant number of people making their way through the Sydney CBD today. But police have had time and all the manpower to prepare for this event.